Hi everyone, or Professor Maple, whoever is watching this. It's Samantha Kurtz again, and I'm here to give you my final exam speech. So there's about 4 questions I'm going to go over with you today, and the first one is most improved. So I think that everyone did a really great job with their speeches this semester, and everyone showed improvement, but in my personal opinion, the person who did the best job improving over the semester is Annette McKinney. In her first speech, although it was really good for her first speech, she seemed kind of nervous and apprehensive of what she was talking about. It was her introductory speech, so she was telling us a little bit about herself, and I just felt as though she was nervous in front of the camera, which, truth be told, who wasn't? I was extremely nervous in front of the camera, but we'll get to that later. In her last speech, however, Annette talked extensively about exercise and how the different things you can do in Gainesville to get involved, like the different gyms you can go to, the hiking trails, and she gave some really great options. She also talked about the diseases it can prevent and gave some really great statistics on what exercise can do to help. So I thought she was very credible because she's a personal trainer and she's a nutritionist. And also, one of my favorite parts about Annette is that she clearly read the comments we gave her on her previous speeches and took them to heart and applied them to her various speeches going forward. So good job, Annette. The next thing I want to talk about is the best research, which I give to Ali Rabinski. I do this for 2 reasons. First of all, her informative speech, and second of all, her persuasive speech. Her informative speech was on Bastille Day. I knew it was in France before, but I think she gave a lot of history on the French holiday Bastille Day. She did a lot of research clearly on the various topics and was able to maybe give it off to the American audience of us watching by comparing it to the July 4th holiday that we celebrate. So she compared Bastille Day to July 4th and made it more understandable for us, the audience. And she gave us some really fun facts, including that Bastille Day is not just celebrated in France, but also in French colonies. For her persuasive speech, her speech was actually my favorite because I thought it completely changed my mind on the right to die in assisted suicide, which was her topic. She was very passionate, but stuck to the facts. She didn't sway to her personal opinion or let emotion really take over. She made it clear she knew what she was talking about. She did this because she mentioned the specific medicines, the cost, and the fact that you must go to therapy and you must be terminally ill with less than 6 months to live. So the fact that I'm remembering these facts means that she really made an impact. She mentioned her sources and honestly changed my mind on assisted suicide / the right to die. Good job. For the best style, I would have to say throughout the entire semester, that Lauren Dunder had the best style. From her first speech, when she talked about her personal life and what she was doing and how her boyfriend didn't live with her, and she had Yoshi her turtle on the table, I thought that was really great because I love animals and it gave her a really personal touch. Throughout all of her speeches, she stayed subjective. I'm subjective because she was my favorite person, but again, this is totally my opinion. Other people can have other opinions. But she was totally objective, she stuck to the facts, but it was clear that she was passionate about certain topics. For her informative speech, she talked about New Zealand, the birds, and the insecticides, and how the insecticides are killing the bird populations. For the persuasive speech, she talked about recycling and what we can do to make small changes to make it better, and she also talked about the horrible turtle video with the straw that was getting pulled out of the turtle's nose, and it was clearly in so much pain. So I think that throughout all of her speeches, Lauren did a really great job of connecting to her audience, and what was so impressive to me about it was that she maintained her love for animals by bringing Yoshi in her first speech and talking about the birds in her second speech, and her love for the environment, which she talked about New Zealand and the insecticides in her second speech, and recycling in her third speech. So I thought she was always prepared and very collected and seemed like a natural. So good job to Lauren. Now, onto the part about how I thought I did in the class and how I thought the class went overall. I must say that I really enjoyed the class, but I also really had to push myself. I'm naturally a very shy person. I don't even like asking for help in the grocery store because I'm too nervous. And I was just so scared to take this class. I took this class because it was a prereq for occupational therapy school, and I knew I just had to get it done. So I was really nervous going into it, but I had read some really great reviews about Professor Maple on Rate My Professor, so I felt like this was my best option to succeed, and I really think I did. So for my first speech, when I just introduced myself and talked about myself, I wrote an outline on where I was born, kind of what I've been doing, how I graduated from UF, and I thought it went okay. I did about 10 takes to get it all done. I was sweating profusely, and honestly, I don't know, like, it was kind of a disaster. Like, in between takes, I had to sit down and like have a pep talk for my boyfriend that I was doing okay, that it was gonna be fine. And honestly, when I turned in the video, I didn't watch it beforehand because I was too embarrassed to hear myself speak. And I honestly thought I was gonna fail this class because of how poorly I thought I did on the first speech. But I was blown away about how nice the people were commenting on my videos. I'm really bad at taking critiques as a person, and someone commented that they thought my dress was too distracting, so I made a pledge to myself not to take these comments from my classmates personally, and just to take their criticism as it is and work on bettering myself. For my informational speech, I chose to talk about America, more specifically mini American Shepherds, and my dog Emmett. I had researched this topic for a very long time because I have the dog, but this gave me more of a chance to research facts and figures so that I could present them to the class. And like I said, I'm very passionate and I enjoyed researching this, but I was terrified for this speech because I had to talk in front of people. Even though I was just inviting my friends over, I was mortified. I had to give myself a pep talk multiple times, and it took about 6 takes to get it done. And people were like, come on, Sam, like, you can do it, it's not that bad, you're just talking in front of us. But to me, it seemed like the biggest deal in the world. And after the speech, I didn't watch it. Again, I know I should have, but I was just too nervous. So again, I was really embarrassed. So again, my peers were super nice, and they said I did an excellent job and that they thought I memorized the speech, which wasn't true. Because what I had done was I had written an outline that I later sent in to Professor Maple, and then I wrote speech cards that I had memorized as best as I could, and then I had my friend hold up a skeleton outline just to remind me of my talking points throughout the speech. I'm not sure if that was allowed, but it really helped me. So for my persuasive speech, again, I was really passionate about this topic, so that helped because my boyfriend was in a motorcycle accident caused by a driver who was texting and driving. I had a bit less time to research my topic, but I did the same deal. I made an outline, wrote cards, and then wrote a skeleton outline for my boyfriend to hold while I was doing my speech, just to, in case I got nervous, I could remind myself. So I did this in 2 takes, and I had only 2 takes to do it because when they got to my house, my audience told me that I had about 15 minutes to record this speech, and this, again, terrified me because before I had so many times to do the speech and to get it what I thought was the best I could do, so I knew that like it was crunch time and I had to get it done. So I did it in 2 takes, and honestly, right after I was done with the speech, my audience left and I just felt defeated. I knew I had rushed through the speech, but I also knew that I shouldn't have let the audience get to me like that. Like, I should have just taken my time and done it the right way. So I did the best to my ability, I honestly believe, during the semester. So this time I did watch my speech, the persuasive speech, before I turned it in, and I saw what I had suspected, that I had sped through it, and even though I'd been working on speaking slower, I hadn't been able to do so. So I was pretty upset with myself for that. But overall, I would say that the class has definitely made me a better person. I'm not afraid to speak up for myself as much, and I'm not as afraid of public speaking. The course overall I thought was very well done. Professor Maple was very responsive. He listened to our feedback, especially about deadlines. Like when we didn't think we had enough time, he had no problem pushing back the deadline. And he was really understanding, especially when I emailed him a million times because I'm a very high-strung individual, and he had no problem responding politely, and for that I am very thankful because I was always very nervous to email him. The one problem I did have was when I submitted my persuasive speech to Canvas. I had no problem uploading it to YouTube, but Canvas would not let me submit it. But that was really the only problem. Also, the speeches towards the end I thought were a little clumped up, whereas towards the beginning we had more time to research and stuff, but that's just because I get stressed easily, so maybe space out the speeches a little more. So again, I thought it was a really great class, and I really enjoyed taking it, and I want to thank everyone for listening to me this entire semester, for giving me great feedback, and especially Professor Maple for having me. Thank you.